Well, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are for this session. Voices Value Voices, what la valeur, from brought to you by Value Us Canada. My name is Azuddin Jihan, and on behalf of the Board of Directors, I welcome you to this session. Today we have a talk by Narinder Bubbar. Just briefly introduction of Narinder, who's got over 20 years of experience. He is a PMP, and also Value Management Associate, and responsible for the corporate project management within the City of Calgary. So he's going to give us an insight of value management in the City of Calgary. Before I hand it to you, Narinder, I would like everybody to make sure to mute. I'll have the control here, but we'll have a session for questions towards the end, like in a 30-minute presentation. But if you want to ask in the chat, feel free. Okay, thank you. Narinder, take it away.
Thanks, Azuddin. Thanks for the introduction, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me. And as Azuddin mentioned, I just wanted to share with you today the value management kind of story for the City of Calgary, how we got into it, and how we developed our program. So I did turn on my camera, so you know that I'm really here. I'm not just some electronic voice here, but I'll probably turn it off because I know I've been having issues with connectivity and stuff, so I'll turn it off as I start the presentation. Let's see if I can figure out how to turn it off. Here you go. All right, so we've been doing value management in the City of Calgary probably for about 15 years now, on and off in various areas. So let me just take you through. I think you know, we're gonna talk a little bit about where Calgary is, get you some geographical kind of facts about us, where we are, tell you about the story. We have a kind of a tipping point, is what I call it, a kind of a point in time where things kind of really kicked off for us, and we're able to make some good change. We've had our share of challenges, and I'll share some of those with you, as well as what some of our future opportunities are. So I know that we have people joining us from all over the world here. Sorry, I don't think I'm changing my slide. Oh, here we go. All right, so Calgary is in the province of Alberta. We're kind of on the west side of Canada. We're the second province from the western coast, beside British Columbia. And we're kind of nestled beside the Rocky Mountains. So we're just in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains here in Alberta. We are the fourth largest city in Canada. We have a population approximately just a little over 1.5 million people. The unique thing about our population is that we have quite a young population. So the median age is around 37 years old. It is a large land size for a city. We have lots of wide open spaces in our city. We tend to have a lot of new development that continues to kind of make the city broader. And over a lot of the past few years, we've been focusing on more densification and trying to continue to use the existing assets that we have, rather than having to continue to extend and take our assets further out to the outskirts and to the more urban areas of the city. We've seen a lot of population growth over the period from 2008 to 2019. We have an asset value here in the City of Calgary that this is infrastructure that is owned and managed by the City of Calgary itself. Oh, sorry, that kind of about $85 billion worth. In 2017, we identified just over $5 billion worth of an infrastructure funding gap. So all of the funding that we were getting from the various levels of government and tax bases identified that we had this kind of funding gap for our needs based on condition and service requirements over the next 10 years. Our economy in Calgary, it's heavily based on the oil and gas industry, and so we do follow the kind of various cycles of that industry. So we do see boom and bust cycles, and it really makes a difference on the type of funding that we get to manage our asset base. So we've been applying value management for many years. In the early days prior to 2011, we did 7 studies. Most of them were transportation related, with one of them in the water resources area. Basically, at the beginning of our journey, we had some people that were interested in this. I mean, I know Mushtak was quite key in the beginning of starting our journey at the City of Calgary. And you know, people were interested. We had some managers that were interested, and they started to look into the methodology and how it could benefit some of our projects. Sorry, I don't know why my slides keep jumping here. Sorry. So when we were doing that part, you know, we basically just were doing these ad hoc studies, trying to see how they could benefit us, and you know, individuals were kind of, you know, taking the charge and trying to influence others in the organization to also try to learn about the methodology, apply it to projects. And you know, it was very grassroots at that time. And then we started seeing some positive results, and the utilities department specifically started taking a big interest in value management. So in 2011, we established a list of pre-qualified consultants. So we hired 6 certified value specialists. They were coming in to do on a rotational basis to provide services, to facilitate and lead studies for us. We also did some value management training for project sponsors, project managers. We collaborated with Value Analysis Canada, and actually the 2012 Value Analysis Canada conference was held in Calgary, and there was a lot of attendance by project managers and sponsors from the City of Calgary. And then a discipline champion was formalized within our management team at the city. And so, you know, his role was really to influence the organization and to try to help us further adopt value management at the organization. So, like good practitioners of value analysis, we completed a value methodology approach to creating a value program. And so we developed a fast diagram of all of the functions that we thought would be required to implement value management at the city. And you know, if you can see the date on there, this dates back to 2011. And you know, as we go through the presentation here, it was interesting to note that the value guide that recently came out from SAVE, it was very well aligned to some of the things that we had in here. So I think we validate that we were going in the right direction at that time. You can see from this this diagram, we completed the function analysis. We identified all of the functions, and we used you know, the traditional approach of value management of the verb-noun combination, and you know, identified all the things that we thought we had to do, and started picking off the ones that we could work on and get the best value out of and get the best benefits from. So then after 2011, when we got those CVSs on board, the period between 2011 and 2014, we had our pre-qualified list of consultants, and we kind of have a renewed interest in value management across the organization. People starting to know that this was something that was available to them to bring these consultants in. Sorry. And then we completed 16 studies across a larger range of infrastructure types. So we did 5 in recreation. Specifically, transportation infrastructure is actually the lowest here, and continued to do some in water resources and waste and recycling as well. We actually had some really good results from our value studies. So these are some of the consolidated results. Looked at the average cost. It was costing us around $90,000 Canadian to run a study. That included bringing in a CVS, as well as bringing in some experts for the various disciplines that we needed to have represented in the study. We typically did 5-day studies, basically starting on a Monday and finishing up by midday on Friday. We had a range of projects and programs, so they ranged anywhere from a $6 million project up to like a $523 million program. You can see our average ROI was, quite good, and as well the average cost avoidance of almost 13%. So that's where we really saw, I guess, a lot of the benefits coming into being able to avoid costs and move things out into the future. So we did find a lot of benefits, right? So it was we really used value management to give assurance to senior management and council. So we had project sponsors and project teams bringing in projects and wanting to verify that they were doing things appropriately and to be able to present in front of council and say we brought in some additional experts to come and look at our project, and the team has come to these kind of common decisions on the project. So one thing that we really heard a lot was there's always greater alignment, bringing the project team together, more clarity on the project. There was a clear scope. People understood why decisions were being made, improved performance on the projects. It all led to reduced schedules and timelines. And we really heard that strongly from many of our project teams that went through this, is that the amount of time that they got to spend on a project dedicated with the right people in the room and coming up with real clarity on their project, that was the biggest benefit that they were finding. Over and above, obviously there was cost savings and there was, cost deferrals, but, just to have that team on the common same page of understanding all the decisions and where this project was going in the future, it was invaluable to the teams. So now coming to the tipping point, in 2011, we had a city auditor report, and that report identified that there were, some, some improvements that could be made in our project management practice. There were some particular projects that were identified where there was scope creep. The project changed a lot from what the original project was, and it identified the need for more consistent project management practices, and that created what we call our corporate project management framework. So we developed a framework which was a suite of a policy for capital projects. We have standards for capital projects. We have guidance documents to go along with those standards, and these are required by all of our major capital projects that we call our level 3 projects, but they're basically our biggest complex projects that we have. Those are all required to follow the framework. So that happened in 2012 when we kicked off the framework. And as part of that, in 2015, we got a notice of motion from our council, our elected officials, that required us to go back and look at ways that we could be more innovative, ways that we could save money on our projects and ensure that we were doing the right things on our projects. And out of that came our value management standard and guidance document. So that became part of our project management framework in 2016. And now that standard requires that all projects that we have that are over $25 million need to go through a value study, and all projects that are over $75 million need to go through a second value study over the life cycle of their project. So we typically try to do those two studies, one in the early planning phases, kind of at our conceptual design phase when we can influence the project. And then the second one we try to do kind of closer to when we're getting ready for construction and more as a constructability review. It doesn't work every time, but that's kind of where we recommend that we do these value studies. So this was obviously part of the city auditor's report you see here. So this is part of the improvements that were identified. So in 2011 this came out, and then by 2015 we had our standard. And that was, so sorry, this is just to give you an idea of the suite of documents that we had, our policy and our practices guides. And then this was the specific wording of the council's notice of motion that we got, was to further enhance project management capabilities through the application of innovative quality and project management approaches. including value management and stage gating. So they specifically identified value management as something that they wanted us to improve our capabilities at. So this is the standard and guidance document. This is actually available on our website. We have a website called City Online, and I can share the link for that. But all of our guidance documents, our standards, our policy, everything is available there publicly, free of cost. So if anyone's interested to know more about what our standard looks like, we can point you in that direction. In addition to the value management standard and guidance document, so the team that I'm with at the City of Calgary, we provide services that complement our standards, and sometimes there's services that may not even have a standard, but we provide a lot of services to our project managers and our teams. And so one of the services that we have is the value management service, where we will basically coordinate the value study for any of our project teams. We do have Mushtaq, who's in-house. He's a CVS. He conducts value studies, as well as we still continue to have consultants that are pre-qualified that we have on our list that we rotate through when we require external services. We also have our cost consulting services. So we have cost consultants for various types of infrastructure pre-qualified on our list as well. So we've tried to bring in all of the resources that are required to be successful in developing and delivering value studies to our project teams. And in 2019, actually, we were hired to complete a value study for the city of Vancouver in British Columbia, and that was also went quite well to give them some good results. So it was nice to be able to share our expertise with another municipality as well, so that they could also benefit from the service. So some of our challenges, we've really, our service kind of is focused on providing the value study. One thing that we've noticed and are working to do better on now is tracking the results of the study. We're trying to build in a system where we can follow up with the project managers and teams to understand which of the recommendations from the study that they're going to be moving forward with and which ones they're not going to be moving forward with, and trying to understand what the reasons are, that they have good reasons and good backup for not moving forward with recommendations from the studies. We continue to be asked to shorten our study hours. So we typically like to do a 5-day study. We've done some shorter studies, but as project managers are pressured to get their projects done on time, to get things done as quickly as possible, they also want, they sometimes see doing a value study as being, a burden on them to I guess, lengthen out their schedule, and then to have the costs covered, right? Oftentimes they don't have budget within their project to be able to do the value study. So we do try to ensure that, now that we have the standard out there, and they know that it's been a few years that they have to do these studies, to get in early and talk to the project managers and see what is their plan to do the study, and make sure that they're including budget for it and including time in the schedule to do it. But it continues to be a challenge. A lot of people don't know about the value management practice still. They don't understand that we have the capability in-house. So, oftentimes we still have these challenges with project teams, and we are working with them to try to help educate them and make sure that they know what's available in-house and what the benefits of doing a value study could be to them. And that's a continuous journey, I guess, that we're on right now. And you ask, why is value management critical right now? I mean, prior to COVID pandemic hitting us here, we already had downtown commercial vacancy rates that were around 25%. Lots of commercial office space was built in Calgary when the oil was in a higher cycle, and the prices have been down since 2015. We are starting to see some recovery recently on oil prices, but really they've been down for quite some time. So we've been in this, economic, a bit of a recession over many years. So these things kind of coming together with those downtown vacancy rates, that obviously you can imagine as a municipality, that does impact our tax base and our revenue streams that come in. So, that impacts directly to our budgets. So we have a number of things coming together, kind of creating this perfect storm of where we need to make sure that we're being very efficient with our spending and that we're able to stretch our budgets as far as possible. And at the same time, the programs and projects are just becoming more and more complex. Um, we tend to have bigger and bigger programs that are being put forward, and the more complex the programs are, it just makes a lot more sense to do a value study and make sure that we're doing things in the best way possible, so that we can really deliver good value for the projects and programs that we are able to deliver with our budget. So some of the things we've learned, it's important to have a value management champion. That was clear to us right from the beginning, and we continue to really have that as a key part of our staffing now, is that we need to have a champion that can advocate for value management in the organization, that can advocate for the program, and to make sure that the higher levels of our management structure, as well as our elected officials, are aware of the practice of value management and how it can benefit us as an organization. Ease of procurement. So I did talk a lot about our various supply processes that we had set up to make sure that it was easy for us to be able to have, CBSs, as well as cost consultants, as well as our, technical experts that would come in for the studies. I know that we had to create a lot of processes and work with supply to ensure, when we're bringing people in on these one-off studies for, as a technical expert, that we were able to do that quickly and, bring them in from places as far away as the UK at times. So we did have our share of challenges there, but we worked through them, and we realized how important that is to be able to have people come. And a lot of times we found that project managers, they were engaging us to do the work, but it was a really quick turnaround and had to fit into their project schedule. So, being able to bring people in quickly and efficiently, that was critical for us. The next one is obviously timing of the study itself. That's critical. We talked about, having it at points in the project when we could really influence the project. Oftentimes, if we're brought in to do the value study when it's too late, a lot of decisions have been made. Things may have been promised to, key stakeholder groups. So it becomes very difficult to make change on the project at that point. So, that was important to us, is to be able to come in at the right time when we are able to affect real change on the project. We've been sharing the results, so we've been trying to do that and really advocate for the value management program at the city, so that people understand what the program is, what the practice is, and really, I think education is so important, and really just building that awareness. And then I think consolidating the VM service under one group and having one kind of easy, one-stop shop for project managers to come to get their value management service has helped a lot for people that, project managers don't need to try to understand the whole process. They know where to come to when they need to do the value study on their project. So when, as I mentioned, we're looking back at the key elements of the successful VM program. So I mean, kind of looking at the value guide that SAVE published recently. I think these are a few things that we took out of it, and some of the key elements that we also found to be important as we created our program here at the city. So I think I talked about pretty much all of these already, so I'll just leave that up there for a second for you guys to see. I think just stand off here is the thing here: the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So it doesn't really matter kind of where you are in the program right now, or if you haven't even started, but taking that first step. And I remember kind of back probably I'd say 2007 or 8 when I first met Mushtaq, and at that point, he was advocating for this value management practice, and it was brand new to the organization. It was brand new to everybody, and because we started taking those first steps at that time, that's the reason we've been able to make the process that we've been able to make over the years. So we got a long way to go yet. I mean, there's nothing. It's far from perfect, but I think we've made a lot of good strides, and so that would pretty much conclude my presentation today. And I think I've seen some questions popping up in the chat, but I haven't been able to check it. So maybe if there's some time here, I could take a few questions.
Well, thank you very much, Narinder.